Good morning. This is the Cabinet meeting of Wednesday, the 17th of March, 2021. It is 10 o'clock. Mr. Bradbury, do we have everybody present?
Good morning, Leader. I think we're just waiting for one other person. I don't think Mr. DeVille's joined us yet, but I haven't received any apologies for this morning's meeting.
Okay, we'll start in a moment. Are we recording, Zach? Is it Zach?
It's Chris today, and yes, we are live.
Just pause for a minute. Okay, we'll get started. Good morning, everybody. This is the Cabinet meeting at Staffordshire County Council on Wednesday, the 17th of March, 2021. Welcome to everybody. The first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. Mr. Bradbury, do we have any apologies?
No, Chairman, not for this morning's meeting.
Thank you. Second item is declarations of interest in accordance with Standing Order number 16. Do we have declarations of interest? I can see no hands being raised for the record. Moving on then to the decision notice of the meeting held on the 17th of February 2021. You have it in front of you. Could I have somebody to move that, please?
I'll move that, Chairman.
I'll second that, Chairman.
For the record, that's Councillor Wilson moving and Councillor Jessel seconding. The fourth item on today's agenda is the leaders update. Colleagues, fantastic to see most of our children and young people returning to classrooms this month. It has been a monumental effort from our schools and teachers this year, schooling key worker children while delivering online learning. But our children want and need to be in school, so it's good to see them there. Every day, thousands more people getting their vaccines across Staffordshire, and we look forward with real hope and optimism to the reopening of our society, our businesses, and our leisure industry. But in this optimism, we need to stay the course and keep doing the right thing. Social distancing, getting tested, wearing a mask. These are the things that we must still do to keep the virus at bay, whether you've been vaccinated or not. So many have sacrificed so much over the last 12 months. Indeed, next week is the first anniversary of lockdown. My message to everyone in Staffordshire is keep doing your bit and don't get complacent. We need to emerge from the lockdown cautiously and carefully. None of us want to take a backward step, and we all have a role to play. The government roadmap sets out when parts of the economy can reopen. For Staffordshire businesses and their employees, this can't come soon enough. The County Council will play a key role this year in reopening and reinvigorating our town centres, leisure venues and tourist attractions. It was great to see Burton and Kidsgrove secure massive government investment through the Stronger Towns Fund earlier this month. During today's meeting, we will hear about the range of business support we offer, from loans to advice or support with skills and apprenticeships. Again, we all have a role to play supporting Staffordshire businesses, shopping local when we can, visiting local attractions, visiting pubs, and I know Councillor DeVille will be delighted to hear me encouraging people to visit pubs, restaurants and more. Our economy will bounce back. The County Council will continue to invest in the things that matter most to our residents in their local area. Today we will hear about significant investment in our roads, once again hit hard by winter. Bear with us as our crews work their way across our enormous road network. Major projects such as the Stafford Western Access Road and Lichfield Southern Bypass are making great progress. And we continue to bid and fight for extra funding to support people in Staffordshire, to get our fair share from government, from extra resources to overcome COVID, to food and activities for vulnerable children, to invest in our towns and high streets. We continue to fight and secure the money we need to improve the lives of our people. So, ladies and gentlemen, on to our next item, which is the minutes of the Property Subcommittee held on the 3rd of March 2021. You've got those in front of you. Can I have somebody to move those minutes, please?
Happy to move them, Chairman.
For the record, Councillor DeVille is moving. Anybody to second, please?
Second, Chair.
That's Councillor Williams. Thank you very much indeed. The next item on the agenda is the update from the COVID member-led Outbreak Control Board. Councillor Dr. McMahon, we're with you.
Thank you, Leader. This is a very good news story. There was a short time last week where the rates per 100,000 in every district and borough were in double figures, which is excellent. Our intensive care units are in a significantly better place, and indeed there are more people in intensive care units without COVID than with COVID, which has not been the case for some time. We're heartened by the roadmap set out by the Prime Minister on the 22nd of February, but we have to remember that the dates he set out are indicative and premised on data, and therefore we have to be vigilant as we move forward. As we open up the economy and society iteratively, there will be outbreaks. That's by the nature of the of pandemics. There will need to be regular testing and social distancing. And our outbreak management protocol to deal with such things will be in place in Staffordshire County Council for 21-22 at least. As regards the vaccine, it's very good news indeed. The Health Service Journal does a list showing who's doing well and who's doing less well in the country as a whole. And I'm delighted to say that last week, out of the 43 areas in England, we came first. I'm hugely grateful to our NHS colleagues. As of the 15th of March, 468,000 people in Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent had their first vaccine, and 30,000 had their second. As we roll out the vaccine at larger scale, we will almost certainly go past the 500,000 this week. The first four cohorts, priority cohorts laid out by the JCVI, are now in the mid-90s, and we've even got 39% of those aged between 50 and 55 inoculated. We're seeing 80,000 vaccines this week, up from the previous maximum of 53. The largest cohort is those ages between 16 and 65 with long-term conditions, and already 71% of those have been inoculated. We were assured by Marcus Warnes, the accountable officer for the clinical commissioning groups, yesterday at the Healthy Staffordshire Select Committee that Staffordshire has the capacity to inoculate 150,000 people a day. We owe this to our communities, that the rate limiting factor, as the Secretary of State put it, lies in the supply of the vaccine, not our ability to deliver it. And therefore we're in a very strong position to double run, as we're starting to do this month, for people to get their second vaccine and their first. I'm hugely grateful to our NHS colleagues for this. We support them in estate, in personnel, and acting as a critical friend. And I must say, having been a doctor locally and now a county councillor, never has the relationship between the county council and the NHS been so strong. And I'm hugely grateful to them. I'm particularly grateful to our NHS in having the mantra that nobody will be left behind, and that and Dr. Shami Noor in particular, I want to acknowledge his efforts who's a local GP in engaging with the Black and ethnic minority communities, particularly in Burton, to get the vaccination. Nobody will be left behind. In terms of planning for the future, our COVID-19 defences are in place over the next financial year to keep cases low, maintain freedoms as the economy opens up. This requires testing, contact tracing, isolation of cases of close contacts as outlined in our local outbreak control plan. We have to be clear that both technologies are required to keep this virus at bay. That both in this stage in the cycle, both the vaccine and testing and tracing are necessary, but in themselves insufficient conditions to get us over the line. We need to be vigilant. We are minded of the fact that there's some increased rates in the moorlands, that Tamworth has had increased rates and then settled down again. So we need to be on our guard. But I am confident that if we comply with the hands, face, space, air message, that if we roll out the vaccine as we are doing, and if we test, trace and isolate as we are doing, that we are offered a much brighter future. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Councillor DeVille.
Thank you, Leader, and good morning, everyone. The Local Outbreak Board, Chairman, is another great example of partnership working within our county. And after, I think it's safe to say, the worst year that any of us can remember, a tragic year, a difficult, challenging year. After this year, isn't it great that at long last, Leader, you were speaking of it, we absolutely have got some positivity. It's great news about getting back to some form of normality. Great to see the children get back to school. Great to be able to play golf again, Leader, and go to the pub and go to our restaurants. Great to have some normality back. And don't we deserve that after the challenging year that we've all had? It's great news about the vaccine programme right across Staffordshire, and great to hear Mr McMahon talking about Staffordshire again, leading the way. It's great news about infection rates. It is a bit of a concern where I live in the Moorlands that the infection rate has gone up. I don't think there are massive causes for alarm, but we are looking at that, and we're doing some communications about the need for testing, the need for regular testing. You know, if you're caring for someone, if you need to go to work, go to the office or go to your factory, the need to get tested. But it is just great news to get back to some formality. However, there's always a however, unfortunately, Leader. But however, this virus has not gone away and is not going away. So we need to live with the virus and continue fighting the virus. And we need to continue doing the right thing, looking after each other, looking out for each other, and face, space, and looking out for each other. That's the way that we'll beat this virus, Chairman. I've always said that we will beat this virus. We absolutely will beat this virus. We'll beat this virus by working in partnership. The great partnerships that Mr McMahon was talking about earlier, and just tremendous positivity to get part of our lives back again, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor DeVille, and thank you, Councillor McMahon, for your update from the COVID member-led Local Outbreak Control Board. It is a great thing to be working together across the county on this. We do meet weekly, all representatives from all districts and boroughs and representatives from opposition group to push forward on this. But also I'd just like to say thank you to all those people who've made a contribution, the people of Staffordshire whose efforts are being rewarded at last for the privations of the past year. So we look forward to a bright future. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the update. There's no recommendation associated with that. Just keep people up to date on what's going on. So that allows me to move on to agenda item number 7, which is Staffordshire means back to business. There are 2 items, A and B. Councillor White, would you like to take us through those, please?
Thank you very much, Leader. And as I always say, when I follow on from the update regarding the pandemic, I think these are the 2 essential bits of business that we have as a county council at the moment. We need to keep our people safe, and we also need to make sure that they have a prosperous future to enjoy. And the best way of securing that is the successful rollout of the vaccine. So it's very good news that that continues at pace. But we need to make specific interventions to ensure that our economy not only reopens successfully over the course of the next few months, but then continues to thrive and grow as we move forwards. These papers consider two ways in which we can support that activity. So the first is our Staffordshire Means Back to Business, supporting our tourism, hospitality and leisure sectors proposal, which is fundamentally about reinvigorating and reinvesting in our destination management partnership, which people will know as Enjoy Staffordshire. So that is our window onto the world in terms of attracting people to visit Staffordshire, to enjoy our embarrassment of riches in terms of great attractions that we have in the county, and to spend money not only in those attractions but also in our hotels, our restaurants, our cafes and our shops. It's a huge part of our economy. It's worth, in 2019, it was worth about £1.87 billion, about 10% of Staffordshire's economy, and supporting around 32,000 jobs. This is really important. And as we all know, the tourism sector and hospitality more generally has been probably the hardest hit of sectors during the pandemic, because, of course, we've not been able to attend those sort of venues. So this is really important support. It comes at a good time, but there is also that real point of optimism that we know that we have a fantastic offer to people who want to come and visit us, or indeed to travel within our county, which is a huge place. And I'd encourage people to get around and see the bits of it that they haven't perhaps seen before. So moving on to the proposals, we've been working to look at how we can better support the promotion of our tourism sector, and that does focus on Enjoy Staffordshire, our destination management partnership. At the moment, that partnership, in my opinion, and indeed in the opinion of the partnership itself, requires some greater impetus and some greater get up and go, so that it can really promote Staffordshire as a place to visit. And these proposals are intended to help make that happen. We had a meeting of the Destination Management Board last week where the direction of travel that I'm about to lay out to you was approved, albeit I should emphasise that there are elements of it that need to go through the governance of other local authorities. So there is some further process to follow. On our part, though, the recommendations here are that we note the report that is before you regarding the future enhancement of our destination management partnership. We approve the use of an additional £200,000 of county council funds to invest immediately in enhancing our offer, both in terms of marketing Staffordshire as a place to visit, but also in terms of increasing the staffing within that destination management partnership to make them more effective. The elements of that investment are laid out in Part C of the recommendation. So it is 2 fixed-term posts, 3-year fixed term for a senior manager and a digital marketing officer. And the final element is enhanced contributions from other parts of the public sector to make up for what the private sector at the moment probably is best not contributing. We want our private sector operators to use their cash flow to support their businesses, and this is very much the public sector stepping forwards. The other thing that I'd emphasise just for a moment is the opportunity that we have for Staffordshire over the next 18 months. We all know that staycationing is likely to be the biggest form of holidaying both this summer and next summer. And Staffordshire has a brilliant offer, but not enough people come and stay with us at the moment. And that's the thing that we really want to be able to promote. So people come and use our attractions, but they don't necessarily link them together. And we want people to do that, so that when they, for example, come and ride the roller coasters at Alton Towers, they might also think to come and visit the National Memorial Arboretum, or go to Cannock Chase, or visit Lichfield Cathedral. The list could go on for a long time, and I'll probably have annoyed a few parts of the county by not mentioning their attractions, but you get the point. And that's what we want to do in particular over the next 18 months, to really get people here visiting, staying, and putting money into our economy in those key areas of tourism and hospitality. I'll leave things there. I'd be delighted to take any questions from colleagues, and I hope you'll support the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor White. Councillor Jessel and Councillor Wilson, please.
Thank you very much, Leader. I very much welcome this report. I think it identifies as a county council how we ensure that we don't miss out any element of our economy. Tourism, as has been said, is of vital importance to us, has taken a really hard hit in the last 12 months. And I think the timing of this is excellent, and I really welcome it. I would actually say that one of the real benefits of Staffordshire County is its beautiful countryside. And if you've had your brains rattled in Alton Park, to actually spend some peaceful walking in the beautiful Churnet Valley, which actually surrounds Alton Park, is a great antidote to a very busy day beforehand. But, you know, we have a beautiful county, wonderful footpaths and walking ways, cycle routes. And we mustn't forget that there are the big tourist attractions, but the county as a whole has so much to offer. And I would very much support and second the recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely echo everything that Councillor Jessel has said. I couldn't have said it better myself. With respect to the tourism aspect, you've said it yourself, Philip, that we do have an embarrassment of riches here in Staffordshire. There are so many parts of the county that people just don't know about that we need to explore and sort of promote much more. We need to really highlight things such as one of the arteries that goes through the county, such as Staffordshire Way. And as Julia has sort of alluded to, you know, people are going out and they are walking around a lot more. And so people really want to use that. So we need to kind of promote that as much as we can. And I think the Staffordshire story that's just been launched, you know, we need Staffordshire ambassadors, don't we? And that's another really good way of getting our beautiful county onto the map even more and getting more tourism, bringing the local economy, because that's desperately needed just now. So I absolutely welcome this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Back to you, Councillor White, to sum up, and then you have read the recommendations, so we'll take the vote after that.
Thank you very much, Leader. I mean, I don't think there's a lot more to say other than I will just pick up on Julia's point, Councillor Jessel, which is that the biggest attraction in Staffordshire is our beautiful county itself. The man-made attractions within it are of national and in many cases international quality, but the quality of our natural environment is the best thing, and particularly for the millions of people who live in cities surrounding us, coming and enjoying some time in the beautiful natural environment we have in Staffordshire is one of the best things you could possibly do. So I hope a lot of them will. You have the recommendations, so I will hand back to you, Leader.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The recommendation is approved. Councillor White, you're now doing Staffordshire Means Back to Business Part 2. We're with you for Part 2.
Thank you very much. Part 2, the revenge. So this is another important scheme. This one is very appropriately Part 2 because it is the continuation of a successful scheme that we've been running for over a decade now, which is our business loan fund, which is targeted at small businesses for the provision of loans of between £10,000 and £50,000. And those are businesses who've been unable to secure finance through a traditional means. It's a scheme that we've been running in conjunction with Stoke-on-Trent City Council, but also the Black Country Reinvestment Society. As I say, for a number of years, it was initially created in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crash. It's a very successful scheme. It's provided loans of over £1.5 million and safeguarded and created around 250 jobs during that period of time. And we want to we want to do the same again. The period for that initial loan that loan fund has ended. It was a 10-year period, so it ended in December 2018. We've now completed all of the work that needed to be done in the intervening period to realise those loans fully and indeed to get them repaid. What we want to do now is to do the same again. So to launch another round of the funding, it will require a contribution from Staffordshire County Council of £490,000. The other contributions are from the Black Country Reinvestment Society of £555,000, Stoke-on-Trent City Council of around £109,000, and ERDF funding of £737,000, plus some money from the North Staffordshire Risk Capital Fund of £109,000. So our contribution is a significant one, but others are also making significant contributions, several of them larger than ours. The focus of our contribution, although it is not exclusive to this area, is on encouraging rural businesses to apply to the fund. We're aware that we are a very large rural county, and we particularly want to promote this fund in those rural areas for all of the different types of businesses that exist in those parts of the county at the moment. So it is not exclusive to those, but I highlighted in particular for that cohort. Other than that, I'll wait to read the recommendations until I've taken any questions, but I think that covers the broad scope of the fund, and I'll welcome any questions.
Muted, Chairman.
Yeah. At the moment, there are no questions. I can see. Well, we do have now Councillor Sutherland with you.
Thank you very much, Leader. And I can only endorse this recommendation, and I thank Councillor Philip White and the officers for bringing this item here today. Not only is it timely, it's absolutely critical, and it shows that this county council is focused and moving at pace to ensure that small businesses get the maximum help we can give them. So thank you very much, Councillor White and officers. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Sutherland. There's no further. We've got Councillor DeVille's popped up. Councillor DeVille.
I'll be extremely brief, Leader. Thank you, Mr. White, for bringing this excellent report this morning. Not to repeat what Mr. Sutherland just said, but it is timed perfectly. It's aimed at the area that needs it most. And as usual, Staffordshire are putting out that message of let's get on with it. Let's look after those who need it most, and let's get on with business. Thank you very much, Mr. White. An excellent report, which I totally support.
Yeah, I think both comments were really well made, and thank you very much for those. We are really keen to push on with our getting back to business and growing our economy. So, Councillor White, we're back with you for the recommendations and concluding comments.
Thank you very much, Leader. I mean, I think those comments are the ones that I very much echo. And the only point I'll just emphasise, if I didn't give it enough emphasis before, is that we have many other schemes that we're delivering either as the county council or with others in partnerships such as this one. Many of those are aimed at existing businesses, as this one is. Many others, though, are aimed at people who want to start up new businesses as well. So if you're interested either in starting a new business or growing your existing business, please Google the Growth Hub, the Staffordshire Growth Hub, and you will be able to access details of all of those schemes there. There is a lot of help and support out there for our businesses, and I encourage all business owners to take a look at that. In terms of the recommendations, there are four. So the first is to support the establishment of a new joint Staffordshire County Council and Black Country Reinvestment Society Business Loan Fund. I've detailed where the contributions come from, but the total fund value is £2 million, and that's a revolving loan fund. Second recommendation is that we allocate £490,000 of Staffordshire County Council funding, and as I mentioned, that is focused on supporting rural businesses in Staffordshire. Third recommendation is supporting the proposed joint operation of the fund with the Black Country Reinvestment Society, which does include a 2% commission on any introduced successful rural loans. to contribute towards staffing costs, and finally to give authority to the Director of Economy, Infrastructure and Skills to authorise entering into the contract with the Black Country Reinvestment Society to manage the business loan fund as detailed in the report. Those are the recommendations, Leader. I hope you'll be able to support them.
Thank you, Councillor White. All those in favour of the recommendations?
Yes, surely, Chairman.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The recommendation is approved. Thank you very much indeed, Councillor White. We're now moving on to agenda item number 8, which is the Capital Programme for Schools 2021-2022, with the Cabinet Member for Education and SEND. Councillor Price, we're with you.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for your comments earlier as well in the Leader's statement with reference to children being back in school. It is really, really great to see that we've got all our children back in education. The Capital Programme obviously revolves around repairs and building new schools, but a school is just a building without our pupils within it, and it's really, really pleasing to see that they're back. Every child in Staffordshire deserves the best possible education, and to leave school or college with the skills they need to succeed in the workplace or further education. Added to this, it is widely recognised that the quality of school buildings can help or hinder learning and teaching. Our capital programme for the next year is designed to ensure we make the most of the funding we have and work with schools to improve school infrastructure. This way we can ensure the county's children are learning in the best environment possible. It is widely recognised the quality of school buildings can help or hinder learning and teaching, and well-designed buildings and pleasant surroundings can lead to better attendance and concentration, as well as motivation and self-esteem, factors which can improve performance. Staffordshire School Asset Management Plan, AMP, and Statement of Priorities, STOP, ensure that capital spending is clearly aligned to corporate priorities and delivers value for money. The school capital programme is made up of maintenance improvement projects and basic need pupil place provision projects. Those maintenance and improvement projects are grouped into 4 categories. The planned replacement programme focuses primarily on the safe, warm and dry issues that may cause a school to close. Using information held in our asset management database, we propose to continue to address the worst maintenance issues, which include roofing works, windows replacements, electrics and heatings for the 2021-2022. We focused almost half the project on projects that will also help and tackle climate change issues. Our second point is sustainability. The projects focus on our commitment to reach carbon net zero by 2050 and include projects to replace heating, pipework and lighting with modern, efficient technology and to reduce energy loss by upgrading or adding insulation. Our third priority project, encouraging schools to use some of their devolved formula capital, DFC, to contribute towards projects. Proposed projects include works to improve external play areas, internal remodelling and refurbishment, and safeguarding projects to protect the pupils while on school grounds. For a number of years, we've undertaken projects to refurbish and improve toilet facilities in school. Historically, the design of school toilets has generally not been good for a complex set of reasons, and typically children are reluctant to use them, and when they are used, they are often the centre of behaviour and discipline problems. We will tackle this in a priority on our next list. We've also reserved a small amount of funding to address day-to-day health and safety emergencies if and when they arise throughout the year. We also have a series of basic need projects. In 21-22, we'll be finishing building the new 1FE Anchor Valley Primary School in Tamworth, ready for the opening in September. And we'll also complete major expansion projects at King Edward VI and Netherstowe High Schools in Lichfield, which I have visited. These are excellent projects. New commissions will include building a 1FE First School and Nursery west of Parks Farm, Bramshaw Meadows in Uttoxeter, and a 1FE Primary School and Nursery in Fradley Park, Lichfield, with both schools due to open in September 2020. We also have a high needs provision capital allocation programme, and the government has also set aside £300 million in 21-22 for new school places for children with special educational needs. Allocations are due to be announced in the spring, but the Staffordshire County Council will receive a minimum allocation of £500,000. And finally, something that Councillor Jessel will be very pleased to hear is our decarbonisation grant. we were recently awarded £3 million from the Public Sector Decarbonisation Scheme grant. The programme of works to be undertaken should be completed shortly and will include projects to replace oil boilers with heat pumps, installation pipework, installing energy management control systems and modifications of heating systems to maximise efficiency and pressure, and fitting water heater timers. I will read out the recommendations after any questions, if that's okay, please, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Price. Are there any questions for Councillor Price before he moves to the recommendations? Councillor DeVille, and then Councillor White, and then Councillor Jessel.
Absolutely, Chairman. Yet again, a massively important and really good news story, Leader. What's more important than to look at improving facilities that enhance children's opportunities to learn and children's opportunities to play? So it's certainly another example of Staffordshire County Council spending the Staffordshire pound in the most important areas, Leader. Thank you very much, Mr. Price. This report, which I totally support, is another great example of Staffordshire being a great place to live, a great place to work, and a great place to learn. Thanks, Mr. Price.
Councillor White, and then Councillor Jessel.
Thank you very much, Leader. Yes, I wholeheartedly endorse Councillor DeVille's comments. I think this is a great example of Staffordshire getting on with business, and our business is making the lives of our citizens better. And what better way to do that than giving them a fantastic start in life with a really great education, and as part of that, being in a learning environment where they can concentrate on their studies, which is exactly what this programme's all about. I know that one of the best reasons to move to Staffordshire, one of the reasons why we're such a popular place to live, is the quality of our schools, and it's good to see in this year of all years that we are continuing to invest in those schools to make them even better, and great that children are back in them again as well. So thank you very much, and I'll be delighted to support this recommendation.
It is truly an absolute joy to see the children back at school. It really, really is. Councillor Jessel.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents who are equally happy to have their children back into school. Yes, Councillor Price is absolutely right. I was delighted when we were awarded that £3 million decarbonisation fund. And I'm really delighted to see mention of climate change, of how this investment programme will continue our journey to reduce carbon emissions. And there is a list on page 57 of all the climate change projects across all districts. And I think this demonstrates how seriously we take this challenge that we have, and how it's permeating through everything we do, which is what we planned. So thank you very much to the Cabinet member, and very much support the report and its recommendations. Thank you.
Councillor Price, there's nobody else indicating. We're back to you, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you for them comments. And Councillor DeVille is absolutely right. What a great place to learn. I myself, as of other Cabinet members here, have children or have had children that have gone through the education system within the county, and I have to say it is absolutely fantastic. As sorry as I was to give up the home learning with my children, I was very, very pleased to see them go back into school. Teachers know best when it comes to things like that, and as a father, I certainly don't. So, no, that's really, really good. It just shows that Staffordshire County Council spends its money effectively and efficiently, and improving the schools has been an absolute joy to see as well. So, I move the recommendations, please. Recommendation A is to consider the report and approve the school capital programme for 21-22 investment proposal set out in the supporting appendices. Part B, agree the Assistant Director for Commercial and Assets monitors progress and makes any necessary in-year alterations in agreement with the Cabinet Member for Education and SEND. And Part C, which is in two parts, delegates authority for the Director of Corporate Services to approve Part A, all subsequent call-off contracts under the CWM framework agreement to be awarded and entered into with the successful providers under the CWM framework agreement. And Part B, any novation of call-off contracts to new providers of variation to the terms of the call-off contract in accordance with the Public Contract Regulations 2015. Thank you, Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the recommendations. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any against? Are there any abstentions? The recommendation is approved. Thank you, Councillor Price. Moving on then to agenda item number 9, the Highways and Transport Capital Programme 2021-2022, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport, Councillor Williams. We're with you.
Thank you, Chairman. Staffordshire's huge road network is vital for keeping our county connected and its residents and businesses on the move. This year we're investing £69 million into a range of major projects, vital local improvements and general road maintenance. But we recognise there is always more to be done, and we continue to lobby central government for the money necessary to keep Staffordshire roads in the condition we expect. In recent years, the investment in highway infrastructure and its performance has been increasingly under the spotlight. The current financial challenges and increased public demands and expectations have meant the management of our highway assets has never been more important to ensure we achieve our outcomes. Additional capital funding for highways and transport comes from County Council's own investment decisions and contributions from developers through S106 agreements and other stakeholders and bid applications. This report outlines the approach to highway asset management in Staffordshire, an estimate of the level of investment required to maintain the condition of the local road network at an appropriate level, and the funding available in 2021-22 for this purpose, and the proposed highway and transport capital investment programme itself. Highway infrastructure is the largest and most visible asset Staffordshire County Council is responsible for. It includes over 6,000 kilometres of carriageway, 4,360 kilometres of footways, and over 1,000 bridges, and more than 115,000 street lights and illuminated signs. Efficiency by utilising preventative maintenance by surface treatments early in the life of a road is significantly more cost effective than allowing roads to deteriorate to a point where they require replacement or continuous repairs to the dreaded potholes. Managing our highway is a key challenge to local council, and especially as Staffordshire, who are having to manage an ageing network with high public expectations for safe and reliable travel. The Highways Transport Capital Delivery Programme is made up of two areas: A, highway maintenance, including bridges, and B, the integrated transport improvements. However, the overall level of funding from the DFT for the highway maintenance block was announced on the 15th of February 2021 for Staffordshire County Council, which consists of £11.141 million for highway maintenance needs and the element of £2,785,000 for highway maintenance from the incentive fund. However, this does represent an overall reduction of funding of £8,709,000 compared to 2021. Chairman, I have the recommendations that I want to recommend to Cabinet. First of all, the Cabinet considers the report and approves the highways and transport capital investment proposals set out in the supporting appendices. The project team monitors progress of any significant in-year alterations and are approved by the Assistant Director for Highways and the Built County in agreement with the Cabinet Member for Highways and Transportation. That the additional County Council highways investment be extended initially for one more year by £5 million to be funded by earmarking the balance of the £3.6 million contingency and £1.4 million of usable capital receipts, and for this investment to be reviewed as part of the review of the strategic plan and MTFS in the summer of 2021. The majority of this is used to support minor capital maintenance, £4.6 million, with any balance being used on structural maintenance schemes. And finally, the Highways Infrastructure Asset Management Plan is updated and future investment options for the local road network are considered further by Cabinet as part of a budget cycle for 22-23. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Williams. Does anybody have any questions of Councillor Williams? Councillor Jessel, Councillor Sutherland.
Thank you very much, Leader, and thank you very much to Councillor Williams. And first, can I say how I support this report and the additional resources that he's just outlined. I don't apologise for being perhaps a little bit parochial, but on page 98, there is a project identified, transport improvements associated with land south of Branston in Burton. This will be really welcomed by everyone who lives in that area. It's an area where there's been huge housing developments, land south of Branston, but also Branston Locks, and the pedestrian, cycling and vehicle movements have increased significantly, and this is a really important project. And I would ask the Cabinet member whether he can ensure that all efforts made to get this moving as soon as possible. But I really do welcome that. That's really good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jessel. And for anybody that wants to see what is going on, if you, it's available to everybody to look after page 87 of the Cabinet reports to see all the fantastic work that's going on across Staffordshire. It just illustrates what a vast place this is and how much work there is that needs to be done by Councillor Williams and the teams in the Highways Department. Councillor Sutherland.
Thank you, Leader. I fully endorse the recommendation of this, what I call a very important investment, £68 million, covering a range of major projects. And as Councillor Williams always says, there's always more to be done. But I certainly do welcome and endorse this £68 million investment plan before us today. So thank you, Councillor Williams, and thank you, officers, for building the plan and presenting it today. Thank you. Thank you, Leader.
And thank you, Councillor Sutherland. I know with your portfolio that Councillor Williams never has conversations that involve less than millions of pounds. But anyway, Councillor Williams, you have read the recommendations already. Is there anything you wanted to say in conclusion?
Only that I will obviously look into Councillor Jessel's wishes for me to support and get things moving. I think this is a very positive move by us as a Conservative administration to invest in our highways and ensure that we can continue to work as best as possible. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the recommendations. All those in favour?
Aye. Aye.
Yes, Leader.
Any against? Any abstentions? The recommendation is approved. We're moving on to agenda item number 10. This one is Holiday Activities and Food Programme, Department of Education, and brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, Councillor Sutton.
Yes, thank you, Leader, and good morning to everybody. Since the summer of 2020, Staffordshire County Council has used various COVID support grants to provide a number of things, including over 64,000 £15 e-vouchers to families during October half term, the Christmas holidays and February half term. This included families of children in receipt of benefit-related free school meals, families of children in reception, Year 1 and Year 2, currently receiving universal free school meals who would have been entitled to benefit-related free school meals, and families of children with the early years who receive funding for Think 2 and the early years pupil premium. We've provided over 850 e-vouchers to families of children for October half term, Christmas holidays and February half term, not included in the previous item. Over 900 e-vouchers to Staffordshire care leavers. over 8,000 packages of support to access support with food and other essential items, over 2,100 e-vouchers to families during the October half term, the Christmas holidays and February half term who have accessed the District Family Hub Emergency Assistance Grants for food and essential supplies, but did not access or were not entitled to free school meals. And we've facilitated a COVID Winter Warmth project in partnership with Support Staffordshire, Beat the Cold and the Staffordshire Community Foundation. This scheme will have provided almost 2,000 packages of individual support with energy and water bills, including sewage, by the 31st of March of this year. So can I take the opportunity to firstly thank Staffordshire schools that have assisted in administering the scheme to families, and also our own staff, particularly working in the district family hubs, who have worked tirelessly and at pace to administer this enormous task. On Tuesday, the 2nd of March of this year, the Department of Works and Pensions announced an extension to the COVID-19 Winter Fund with an additional allocation for Staffordshire of 772,000. And we will continue to provide extra targeted funded financial support during the pandemic. Staffordshire County Council will continue the arrangements I've mentioned previously to provide families of children entitled to benefit-related free school meals and other targeted groups with e-vouchers to access food and essential supplies during Easter 2021. In addition to all this, and this is the detail of this paper I bring to Cabinet this morning, the County Council has received 2.2 million from the Department of Education to deliver a holiday activity and food programme at Easter, summer and Christmas, supporting children and their families to stay safe, happy and healthy. Families can experience significant pressure points during school holidays with reduced income and increased financial pressures because of the costs of food, childcare and other activities. And disadvantaged families are likely to experience unhealthy holidays in terms of nutrition and physical health, along with inequalities relating to social isolation and loneliness. And a lot of these families are less likely to access organised out-of-school activities during the holidays. The holiday activity and food programmes have been evidenced to make a significant contribution to the outcomes for children through the provision of inclusive and accessible, enriching activities and healthy food. The County Council is planning to work with charities, community groups and other organisations to provide physical play, sport and youth sessions for the summer and Christmas. For 4 weeks of the summer holidays, eligible children will be offered 4 hours of activity for 4 days a week. And at Christmas, the activity will be 4 hours a day for 1 week. The holiday activity and food programme will be available to children and where appropriate their families who receive benefit related free school meals who are aged between 5 and 16. There will be a virtual scheme for Easter 2021 It's anticipated to deliver including delivery of recipe boxes with food supplies for up to a week, along with the Family Hub activity kits, which will include a range of practical resources relating to the 5 ways of well-being. These kits will include a selection of learning material, which has a focus on physical activities, healthy food and nutritional education. It is anticipated that a small number of families will be invited to participate in the scheme over Easter, but with a significant expansion over the summer and Christmas of this year. So therefore, it is proposed that Staffordshire County Council will deliver the summer and winter scheme together with partners across the statutory private, the statutory services, private, community and volunteer sector to ensure a wide range of enriching activities form part of the holiday activity and food programme. So that's that, Leader. I will happy pause there and take any questions and then do the recommendations following that.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Not an easy read, but a great scheme. I think that's 2 observations. Councillor White.
Thank you very much, Leader. Thank you, the council. Thank you, Councillor Sutton. A great report, even though it was a bit of a mouthful to get out. This again is absolutely what we do as Staffordshire County Council, isn't it? It's looking after our people, and in this case, it's looking after 3 groups of people. So it's looking after our children first and foremost, of course, making sure that that those that needed are fed during the holiday periods, and thank you very much to government for providing the funding to make sure we can continue to do that. But also making sure that they're active and engaged. And after such a long period away from school and away from structured, organised activities, I know as the husband of a teacher and with lots of other teachers in my lives that's going to be a real boon to schools, that the children are going to continue through the holiday periods being able to engage in those sort of activities, so they are back in September, school ready, and ready to get on with catching up, which we really need them to do. It's also looking after parents and making sure that those who need to be back in the workplace have the opportunity to put their children into these activities as well, and to take away the worry from those parents who might be concerned about putting food on the table. But the other group that it's looking after is our hardworking school teachers and other school staff who need a break. And it's really, really important that organisations such as Staffordshire County Council are going to be putting on these programmes of activity so that children do have these useful things that they can be doing, but at the same time that our teachers and other school staff can be having a break after what has been one heck of a year for them. And thank you very much to them for the incredible work that they've been doing during that time. They deserve a summer holiday, and I'm really glad that we're going to help to allow them to get one.
I think many parents across the country and Staffordshire have found a newfound respect for teachers, having tried to do the homeschooling. Councillor Dr. Johnny McMahon.
Thank you, Leader. I think this is a great programme. I hugely endorse it, and I thank the portfolio holder for this. I'm particularly enlightened by the fact that there's recipe boxes with the food supplies, so that the children and their families will be encouraged to cook. I like the idea it's linked to the 5 ways, the NHS 5 ways of well-being, about connect, be active, take notice, learn and give. I think that's exactly the right approach. And focusing on healthy activities and healthy food and nutritional education. I'm minded of the anti-smoking campaign several years ago, and the influence of children on parental smokers was significant. And so this goes far and beyond, I would hope, it's simply teaching children about nutrition and about healthy food. They will have words with their parents, as our generation had words with our parents about smoking. I think this is well crafted and a great opportunity. Thank you.
Councillor Jessel.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, very much supportive of this package, and it is a complete package to support families and children through the holiday period. As we're all aware, there has been some criticism of the contents of some of these food packages, and I'm a great advocate of interesting food and healthy food, and recognise that sometimes getting children to eat food that is good for them isn't necessarily always terribly easy. But I would seek the Cabinet member's assurance that he will review the contents of these food boxes. You know, this is, at the end of the day, taxpayers' money, and a really good opportunity, as Councillor McMahon has just said, to educate children and their families how they can eat healthily and economically. But I would hate to see headlines of any of our food boxes contain nothing other than what I would call cheap, snacky type food, which is good for no one. Thank you.
Councillor Price.
Thank you, Chairman. Both Councillor DeVille and I did do some work previously around the contents of our food parcels within Staffordshire, and I can say that they were absolutely excellent, and we were doing a good job with our partners. So no concerns there were raised at all, or from myself and Mark. Councillor DeVille. Just wanted to thank Councillor Sutton for bringing this to us and for the officers as well. It does show, and I am extremely proud of the work that we do within the county to support our children and young people. It's absolutely key, and so thank you very much for bringing this to us. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Councillor DeVille.
Thank you, Leader. Another excellent report, Alan, isn't it? Warmly welcome this report, and thank you, Mr. Sutton and the team for bringing yet another good news story to Staffordshire today. Mr. White identified the groups of people who will welcome this report the most, and he's right. Makes me feel a little bit old, Philip, but I'm the father of a primary school teacher, and obviously as a grandparent, I just warmly welcome this, Leader. It's another great example of Staffordshire County Council getting its priorities exactly right, spending its money in exactly the right places. Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Happy to support these recommendations. A great report.
Thank you, Councillor DeVille. Back to Councillor Sutton to sum up, please.
Okay, so can I thank colleagues for their overwhelming support, and the points that they raise I echo. In particular, can I absolutely reassure Councillor Jessel about the contents of any food box that the County Council is responsible for or has commissioned. I will absolutely ensure that that meets the requirements that Councillor Jessel has outlined. So if that's okay, I will I'll read the recommendations. The recommendations are as follows. A, Cabinet acknowledges the anticipated receipt of £2,231,290 from the Department of Education in relation to the Holiday Activities and Food Programme. B, acknowledges the conditions of expenditure and delivery relating to the Holiday Activities and Food Programme as set out by the Department of Education. And C, delegates delivery decisions relating to the Holiday Activities and Food Programme to the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Education and SEND and the Deputy Chief Executive and Director for Families and Communities.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the recommendations. All those in favour?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Agreed.
Any against? Any abstentions? The recommendation is approved. Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Moving on then to decisions taken by Cabinet members under delegated powers, agenda item 11. There is one item by the Cabinet Member for Education and SEND in approving the admission arrangements for community and voluntary controlled schools 2022 to 2023 and coordinated admission scheme 2022-2023. That concludes the decisions taken by Cabinet members under delegated powers. Moving on then to the forward plan of key decisions. In April, in public, we have the Integrated Performance Report 2020-21, Quarter 4, brought to you by Councillor Sutherland and myself. Again in April, in public, the Framework Agreement for the Repair and Treatment of Flat Roofs and Associated Works, brought to you by Councillor DeVille. Councillor DeVille, you do bring the most interesting items to Cabinet. Can I just thank you for that? I'm looking forward to it. Leader, the flat roof report. Always important, though, to make sure our money's well managed. Again, in April, in public, we've got the Integration and Innovation working together to improve health and social care for all, Councillor Dr. McMahon. Then on May the 6th, there is an election, but I'm advised that I do need to read out the remaining elements of the forward plan, despite the fact there's an election in May. So in June, we have in public the Staffordshire Sexual Health Services. Again in June, in public, we've got community support, including domiciliary care and community short breaks for children with disabilities. In July, we've got the Child Exploitation and Missing Children and Young People Service. And in August, we've got the Treasury Management Outturn 2020-2021. And in private, got proposed 1FE expansion at Oldfields Hall Middle School, Uttoxeter. And I think, yes, that concludes the forward plan. As I say, I'm obliged to read out the things happening beyond the election. That's not to disrespect the electorate in any way, shape or form. Right, moving on then to agenda item number 13, exclusion of the public. I move that the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business which involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in the paragraphs of Part 1 of Schedule 12A as amended of the Local Government Act 1972, indicated below. I so move.